On this episode of Athletic Training Chat, we have a unique episode for you. We had the privilege of being a part of the Industrial Athletic Trainers Society inaugural virtual event, just highlighting the new society focusing on athletic trainers in the industrial setting. And we got to play moderator for them for their roundtable with the board of directors. And so we had 3 of the 4 that could make it on this one, and really we dug into why they started this society, what they're hoping to do, how they're approaching everything as they get moving forward with it, and really just getting to know better what is behind this drive to create the Industrial Athletic Trainer Society. Really great conversation, a lot of really good insights. We think you'll take a lot away from it. And if you are in the industrial setting, they're definitely worth checking out when it comes to everything that they are doing and hoping to do in the future, or just to get involved if that's something that you're interested in being a part of. As always, we are powered by Mueller Sports Medicine. Great place to turn for all your sports medicine needs. Saw some things around social media about best kits. Know there's a ton out there. Personally, big fan of the Merit line from Mueller with the lifetime warranty. Just what they're made out of. They do really well in inclement weather, and being in the Midwest where every day is a chance to reschedule a baseball or softball game, that holds up really well. But without further ado, one more ad before we get going, and thank you for listening to it as it supports our Throw a Lifeline program. We'll get through that, and please enjoy this episode. Get into everything. Before we do that, I just wanted to turn it over to the board. Just if you are joining late or just throughout everything hadn't got a chance to fully connect with them, for them just to give a short introduction to themselves, and then we will jump in. So Susan, we'll start with you.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Susan Taw. Pleasure to be with you guys. It has been an incredible day. Last night was a load of fun. I think we had like so many things we thought we would have time to get around to, because we thought there would be downtime during this event. For some reason, there was none. There was a small window where, we like talked about, did you eat? Have you had a snack? But it has been awesome hearing from everyone and engaging with them. I am the president of IATS. This has been a small idea that has become a big reality. And so it has just been a very rewarding weekend, getting to spend some time with you guys. So I appreciate all of you being here.
Chris?
Sure. Hi, I'm Chris Proctor. I am the vice president of IATS. And like Susan said, it's actually been kind of mind-blowing how well everything has gone. We expected there to be lulls in spots where people aren't interacting, and how we're going to interject conversation in here. And you know what? Everybody has come together. And she said it's a small idea that's turned into a big reality. I think for a long time we've all wanted something like this, and Susan actually put in the effort and the time and everything to make it a reality. So before we're done with everything today, we need to give her a big applause for what she's done to put all this together.
Thanks.
All right, we'll pass it on to Sam.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Sam Arredondo. I am the treasurer for the Industrial Athletic Trainers Society, and I am stoked at how well this has gone today. I think I fully expected it to go well, unlike Chris apparently. So, but I think I really appreciate you guys being here. It's been months of work to put this together. I'm new to industrial athletic training. I consider myself. I've been here for about 9 months, but I did occupational health with the military for a few years before I took the jump into the industrial setting, and have loved every minute of it, and really look forward to continuing the connection with everyone.
All right, so we'll kick it off with kind of the first question to Susan, which touched on a little bit, but ultimately, what inspired the creation of the Industrial Athletic Trainer Society? And maybe if you can give even just a little bit more background, which kind of jumps into our second question of when it all started, and going from there.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I mean, I would kind of say it all started when I was still in my athletic training program at Radford University. That takes it way back, but I had the opportunity to serve as president of our Athletic Training Student Association for 2 years. And one thing we did in both of those years that had never happened before was we were a part of the health fair at a Volvo truck plant locally in town. And we would go there and we would talk to the workers about overuse injuries like carpal tunnel and lateral epicondylitis, plantar fasciitis, low back pain, rotator cuff injuries. And they were so grateful to learn more about their bodies and how their bodies worked, and small things they could do, from sleeping postures to like simple stretches to alleviate pain, that I was like, sports is cool, but this is super cool. So that was where my interest in industrial athletic training peaked. And I realized that I did not have many opportunities to truly learn about what industrial athletic training entailed at that point. So when I came on board with the company I first started with, like industrial athletic trainers everywhere, you get most of your learning and experience from your company. And I'm of the belief that your company should not, it can, and I feel like more and more these days, especially after COVID, we lean on our companies to do a lot for us, meaning provide a network for us. They can do that, but they shouldn't have to. Provide learning for us. They can do that, but they shouldn't have to. To provide a place to like grow and air our frustrations and make friends, they can, but they shouldn't have to. And athletic trainers in the industrial setting didn't have a space for that. And so that was where the idea of the Industrial Athletic Trainer Society started. And then looking at the gaps in evidence-based practice, education, standards. I mean, the position statement on heat we have that we learned about and is so beneficial doesn't have much on the effects of chronic heat illness, right? There's little military in there, but very little about organ dysfunction as a result of just chronic years of overexposure. It has very little about industrial populations. I really don't think much at all outside of the military, but we need that information to be able to do our jobs well. So that is, I guess, the long story of what inspired this organization. And we can see that this is real and there's a need for this, and we have a lot to do.
So following up on that, I know in some offline conversations, I think the year of like 4 years has kind of been the groundwork, to get us to this point basically today. But we also had a conversation about why the slow growth has been so important, and not, coming up with the idea, locking down a domain name, creating a logo, which apparently has to be flipped for your background, but we'll leave that for another day. But and then just launching it. Why did you take such a methodical approach?
Sure. I think it's difficult in this day and age to be agile. I think being flexible is something that is not as commonplace as it should be, and you need flexibility to be able to adapt and accommodate something like membership, what people need. You need clarity of purpose, right? So a lot of the slow growth was finding that. Truly, our name, logo, and stuff was like the last thing we did. Like, these are the things that have happened in the last year. The idea and building on that and thinking about what qualities would we want our leadership and vision group to have. Like, how do we maintain an organization that can hear from the people even at the front lines of the organization? I think something that we feel, especially as we join membership organizations, are your voice can disappear, and you can get to a point where you don't feel heard, where even leadership doesn't feel heard. So we've grown slowly because we've wanted to check in at every stage and say, like, can we hear from everyone involved in this? Does everyone involved in this have a voice? We want to check our purpose. I mean, even this event was a great example of that. I think I've told the story where we were all kind of chatting as a board about getting our website going. And we were like, oh, let's do Squarespace, and this will be like $200 something, and let's do this. And I was like, okay, well, we already have our workspace through Google. And, yeah, it's not the most robust website, but it has our info on there. What if we just save that $200 and invest it back in this summit we want to hold? And that's actually how we were able to get the Nexus Sports Med DP2 that we were giving away as like our kind of like grand prize. And then another conversation we had was, oh, should we record these? And, we can post them for like $5, $10, maybe as a way to fundraise on the back end. And Chris was like, we exist to give people access to information and knowledge. Is cutting off people's access to that information and make maybe $45 when it's all said and done really worth it? Why would we make people pay for them when we could make it freely available? And it was like, oh, pulse check there. You're totally right. And we keep having that keeps happening with us, where we're able to check in on like, why do we exist, and reinforce our core values. And that would be difficult if we grew too fast. I don't think that we would have been able to maintain that. So it's been our way of keeping ourselves from steering off of our true north.
Chris, next question to you, and it kind of goes right off of what Susan was saying in terms of, generating funds. You guys are not taking paid memberships for the year, which is wholly uncommon, and that's, something that comes up a lot, and there's different, levels of membership and cost based on the different societies that have kind of sprung up. Why did you all take this approach, kind of expanding on what Susan said, and what do you hope that brings to the Industrial Athletic Trainer Society?
I think honestly, everything that Susan just said kind of answered that question, but we'll expand on it a little bit. Really, the idea the reason why we're not having paid membership right now is because we don't technically have an open membership available right now. We'll get there, but the real reason we haven't done that yet is because we really want to make sure every aspect of this is something that's worth the money they're putting in. It wouldn't be right to have somebody pay for a membership and then we're freestyling it, just trying to figure out where we are right now. We've all been part of organizations, I'm sure at some point, where we paid a lot of money for a membership and then we go, what did we really get out of that? So we really want to bring a value added to all of our members. When we get to that point, when we have memberships that people are paying for, we want to make sure you're getting every dollar's worth out of that. For now, our biggest goal is to build things and make sure we have the best possible product we can. Before all this, we worked for months on creating the minimum viable product and having something available to even just put out there for people to start to connect with. And with that, we're just developing interest, and we're getting people who are recognizing how we can fit their needs. And part of that's also just communicating with the people that are here today. And figuring out what kind of things that you want to see, what kind of things are going to help you as an athletic trainer in the industrial setting, and athletic trainers in general, but this is obviously our main focus. And because we're developing something that hasn't been there before, I know there's other organizations that may touch on the industrial setting among other emerging practices. But really, this is our focus on taking care of the athletic trainers within the setting and those that are wanting to be. So once we've got that all developed and we know that, hey, we've got the product that we want you to be part of, that you want to be part of, we want to make sure you're just getting everything out of it you can. So charging members, and before we have that fully developed, we didn't think was right. So we decided we wanted to put everything together and have a finished product first.
Just to kind of follow up on that and put you all a little bit on the spot, just what types of things, are in the process, in the works? I know you were saying trying to get ideas and finding the value that potential future members, are looking for, but and just you're all starting to plan for that. What are some things people might be able to look forward to or potentially expect kind of moving forward as you get to that point?
We can toss this around and everybody talk about it if we want, but we're looking at several different ways of just impacting athletic trainers in the industrial setting. Some of it's education, providing continuing education units. That's something we're working on. We hope to have that available soon, sometime in the next year, ideally. Don't quote me on that timeline. But on top of that, we want to actually interact with athletic training programs. We want to get in and teach athletic training students what the industrial setting is, how it can affect your life and how you can be part of it, and how our skills and our knowledge directly play a role in these people's lives, how we can treat the industrial athlete. We're looking at advocacy things. So we want to be able to we want to look at state by state when there's bills going through their legislatures to try and increase access to athletic trainers for the working person, for the blue collar Joe. Because in some states they don't necessarily have that yet. The legislation is kind of muddy, and some of the verbiage is vague and gray to the point where we have to tiptoe around that sometimes. And so we're working on advocacy and just dealing with that, and creating a community around athletic training within the industrial setting. Susan, Sam, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of what Chris says. We have some things that have been happening. Journal Club is in year 2, and it's a hoot. It's grown this year. It's so fun. So it's been awesome seeing that kind of transition and seeing that kind of naturally organize itself into something that's been extremely valuable. Mentorship is a big deal. I think a lot of us require our companies to fill that void for us. And I think especially if, maybe you don't know how to feel about your company or your specific site you're at or things going on, it's an unfortunate predicament to then rely on your company to be the one to mentor you through some of those changes and some of those things. And so I think having an outside mentorship pipeline, or collaborative pipeline, where you can be like, hey, like our company is transitioning to doing this thing. Like, has your company done it? How did that go over? Where can I find this? I think that's critical. And then I also think that there are a lot of things that the traditional setting benefits from that our setting would benefit from as much, but we have not kind of had that recognition, and that can be anything from things like safe sports school designations, or even like getting advocacy from our organizations to schools to advocate for us. We deserve those things at the company level, so whether that's reaching out to a company and highlighting things, or saying, hey, it's National Athletic Training Month, you have athletic trainers, here are some things that you can do to recognize their work, or here are some ways that you can contribute by sharing your testimony as having an athletic trainer that you would like to. These are things that we feel are hard for us to have to do on our own, and we deserve a foundation of support that is interested in doing those things and that will think of and do those things for us. So yeah, that's just a little bit more. Sam, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's about creating a self-limiting environment, really, where it's the athletic trainer industry can seek out their own opportunities and be able to grow as much as they want to grow, and grow as quickly or as slowly as they feel that they need. I think that's the importance of doing all this work, is to be able to guide your own practice and look at what you can do in industry and what we're going to do as a profession in the next 10 years.
Fantastic. Sam, we're going to kind of come back to you. So you mentioned kind of new-ish within the industrial setting, 9 months, but also being on the board. What benefit do you really see coming out of this society, both from the board side, but also from the working side?
So I've served on a board previously, where we're focusing on advocacy education on athletic trainers within a specific setting, and really once I've joined this board, it's been explosive growth in all three of those, in all the areas that we focus on. Chris mentioned education, advocacy, and community, and really focusing on that for the industrial athletic trainer. I think having worked in the occupational space before industrial, really working industrial and working in military, you're kind of siloed. I mean, you're one person at one site typically, which is not always the case. But really being able to create that community and that opportunity for growth outside your company, wherever you're at. There's a lot of resources out there, and I think really the benefit of having this society in place is really being able to ignite and engage the curiosity of the industrial athletic trainer. I think you are really within this space because you want something more from the profession, from yourself, and I think that's what's fueled our success just on this event alone, is because industrial athletic trainers want more. They want more from their work. They want more from what they're able to get from their work-life balance. They want more, and they want to be able to, again, control how they take their growth and where they take their growth. And again, that self-limiting factor, I think, is huge for where we're going to take ourselves in the future.
For sure. Kind of one more summary question, and then we're going to go on some of the rapid fire / I'm going to throw a couple extra at you based off the AT chat questions, just to keep this interesting. But you guys kind of elaborated bigger picture, a lot of things that you're looking to do within the next year. What could people on the call or listening afterwards expect, be looking forward to, or if they wanted to get involved? Susan, you mentioned Journal Club. Best ways to go about that. And maybe Susan, we'll start with you, and then we can split from there.
Yeah, sure. Journal Club, the last round of Journal Club, I think closed up in January, but there is always another year for that. But in the next year, what people can expect is we do have a couple early adopters. So that's been the big thing, is we have people who want to be on the early adopter end of this. So our board has been talking rapidly about bringing you guys into this process and expanding and really building out our support columns. So that's one thing you can expect if you are one of those people who has kind of waved the flag to us of, yeah, I want to be a part of this. We've tried to talk with some of you already. Today was a hectic day, so we were not able to do as much as we wanted on that side, but we will be reaching out to you. We will be talking with you. We will make it happen. We have one more meeting coming up, and then we're going to, make some official extensions of, please come help us out. And then we'll be building from there. So that's going to be a big thing that's going to be happening in the next year. I would keep an eye out for some more materials coming out from us. So we've done a lot of recognition this month, obviously. We've shared some information, some data. We have rolled out our website this year, and already we're getting information from people on that. And what I would ask everyone is, if you see something on our website or something you're interested in, we already had someone email us because we had a list of organizations that precept in the industrial setting. They're like, hey, can we be on your list of places that precept? Because we do precept and we would like some industrial athletic training students. If you see stuff like that, don't be afraid to reach out. We're not closed. We're not closed. I know we've been kind of cloaked for a bit, but we are very open to hearing from you. And then another thing I would expect to see from us is a lot of questions, whether it's doing roundtables or saying like, can people join in this discussion and talk to us, whether it's surveys or forums. And the reason for this is we want to hear from everyone. And like I said, our purpose for existing is so that industrial athletic trainers and people who are interested in who surround themselves, anything we do, whether that's athletic training, whether on the safety side, ergonomics, whatever, have a place to learn, grow, contribute. So we're not tone deaf. And I think the reason the response to this has been so great has been because of how many questions we ask And then when people tell us stuff, that's what we do. We're like, okay, awesome, cool. Like, that's what you guys want to hear. That's what's happening. And so it's a very responsive organization. So we want input, and you're going to be getting back whatever you give us. And I think that's something people are looking for. Is I think people are tired of giving and not getting in return, you know, the thing that they've put in, or the suggestions they've made, or the ideas they have. But that's exactly how we're organized, is to do just that. Chris?
Yes, Sam or Chris, anything else to add to that?
I mean, Susan does a good job of just covering everything and leaving us without anything fun to say. Other than that, you know, she touched on a little bit. We've been in contact with people, and we meant to be in contact with people more today. But again, this has just been a banging thing. We had talked about, we're going to plan and we're going to set aside time with this person and set aside time with this person, and then there was no time with any people. So, but we have a list of people that we've been talking to or plan on getting further with, and developing some executive committees, or not executive committees to help us just kind of guide the organization where we're going to go and how we can better advocate for the athletic trainers of the profession and the membership once we develop that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Just really building,
or kick off the other questions.
Just building that community, really, and focusing on really making sure that every industrial athletic trainer has a part in this, and if as much as they want or as little as they want, but being heard when they need to be heard.
Fantastic. So we're going to move kind of into these rapid fire questions, and thank you for someone asking a question. I was just going to remind that we will go into that Q&A after we wrap these up. To the board members, we're going to try and keep these short, which I understand can be tough from time to time, having asked those. But if you do have other questions, please throw them in there, and we'll get to those here shortly. First one, and we'll just go from my left to right. So Sam, starting off, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned while being involved in the creation of the IATS?
Oh man, it's really hard to be as organized as Susan. That's what I've learned. No, but really, it's really about. I mean, again, I feel like in the last several months, it's been about looking for areas of growth within the setting in particular and the profession in particular. So, I guess really focusing on that. Yeah, I'll pass it on to Susan and Chris. I don't want to go too long because I can for forever.
Susan?
I would say that it doesn't have to be perfect. Getting something out there before it is perfect. I'm a perfectionist, and I really just had to let some things go. So that's what I've learned, is it's better being there than not being there because you were trying to make it perfect. We're imperfect people.
Chris?
I'd say the biggest lesson I've learned is that Susan has this unstoppable passion for progressing this, and her organization, like Sam said, is just insane. No, I've learned that there's other people out here that are passionate about the profession as much as I am, and that we can get together and do some things to continue to support us.
Awesome. Chris, we'll just start with you and kind of work our way back just to keep this somewhat organized. Where do you see the industrial setting going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it is going to continue to explode. As athletic trainers are starting to recognize that there are options out there for work-life balance, that there are options out there for decent pay and benefits, and where you can end up in a climate-controlled environment potentially, instead of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. practices with your D2 football team or whatever it is. We're finding that there's something better out there. And if we're going to change the industry for all of the other athletic trainers, which I think we're leading the way on that, this is going to continue to grow. I see it just exploding. Susan?
Totally agree. I think it's going to be massive. It's incredible seeing what companies don't even are still learning about us and they're like, we heard about one of you and this is amazing. How do we get one? And it's just been incredible seeing the growth. I think 5 to 10 years from now, the industrial setting will be less of a black box. I think currently you have to you have to immerse yourself in it as a worker to know what it's truly about. Even just asking people about their day-to-day schedule or what the perks are doesn't give you a full idea. I think 5 to 10 years from now, clinical internships or experience will be common. Understanding what our skill set is in it is common. Gen med issues and other things will be common, and I think it will be less confusing and less of a black box, like I said.
Yeah, I think I think athletics is pretty topped out outside of the high school setting. When you look at college athletics, the traditional setting, I mean, that's where we've been in that space for forever, and every college has us, and still not enough of us still. But I think in industry and other settings, I think in particular are going to like Chris said, explode over the next 5 to 10 years, just based on the work that everyone's doing now, and showing that we are the most diverse frontline healthcare provider that you can get in that space. Our knowledge, skill set, and our just what we bring to the table in general is pretty unmatched in that space. And I think focusing on, I think we really hit all the tenets of athletic training truly, as we're in industry in particular, and companies and industry and large entities are seeing the benefit of that, and really seeing what athletic trainers can do for their company in terms of productivity, a reduction in lost time for injuries, and just reduction in injuries as a whole. And on top of that, having a healthcare provider that's able to provide some services to make sure that their employees are getting healthcare availability to them, especially in underserved areas. Industry typically has those, a lot of employees that traditionally are from underserved communities. So really focusing on that going forward also, I think is going to be a huge opportunity for growth in industry the next 5 to 10 years.
Awesome. This one could be right up your alley again, just kind of moving into this setting recently. What is one misconception about the industrial setting that you'd like to change?
I think Chris hit it. I think Chris hit the nail on the head with his post on our Discord earlier. Was really coming into it with like, wait, I'm limited to do what? Only specific aspects. So for those that may be listening to this podcast that aren't aware, OSHA kind of limits what we can do before something becomes a recordable injury, what we call a recordable injury, which is not necessarily a positive outlook on the employer or the company. So, but it's less of a limitation and more of an opportunity of growth for us, where we're getting creative. And again, another skill that athletic trainers just typically possess is creativity, and being able to look beyond what our quote unquote limitations are, and really advance what we can do, and to still benefit employees and all stakeholders that are involved.
Susan?
I would say that industrial athletic trainers don't work weekends. We don't usually, but we do sometimes, okay? And I understand we flex the Monday through Friday work week because it's wonderful. Most of us have it. But there are some settings and facilities that are 24/7, and they work weekends. Some of us work weekends, and that's okay.
There. Chris?
I think the misconception that the industrial setting is where you go when you're old and you can't handle doing the sports anymore. Um, I really think that there's that conception out there. But talking to all the people, I mean, especially today and all around, that there's a lot of people now that are young that are coming out of school and they understand that this is a first option for athletic training. This isn't a backup thing once you've decided that you don't like the cold rain on a Saturday morning anymore. This is the place to go because this is how we can best use our skills and knowledge for this population.
Starting back with Chris, just a couple more questions here. Prior to obviously the creation of the Industrial Athletic Trainer Society, what was been the most influential resource you had found for the kind of specific to the setting, if you could share?
Other than just colleagues in the industry, personal experience, and really just networking with other professionals, networking with health and safety professionals, as well as mostly athletic trainers within the industry, doing research, but yeah, just coming in contact with the right people and really learning to communicate with them and network.
Susan, anything?
I believe the last time you asked me this was on a different podcast that I said the Journal of Occupational Medicine.
Okay.
I'm going to change my answer or
Fair.
write a new one. And my new answer is going to be right up Chris's alley, what he said, other professionals, safety people in particular, other schools of thought, OSHA. I mean, I love reading OSHA finding companies for things they did that caused unnecessary injuries, and learning about like, how would I address that? Or what would we do if that happened here? Or how can we prevent this from happening here? So it's free. They shame them online. It's very popular, them in the EOC. But yeah, definitely even ideas. We can ergonomics all day, but foundational principles like the hierarchy of controls are things we don't learn about in athletic training, but are so critical to the work we do in the injury prevention side. So if my greatest resource is learning those things from other professionals, that has really made my practice robust.
Sam?
Yeah, so prior to really going into an occupational health, I had started my doctorate in athletic training, and I think that was the biggest resource that I had in terms of learning applicability of data-driven decisions. Industry data is huge, so really focusing on health informatics in particular classes that I've taken, and there's other analytics classes that you guys can take as well to expand your knowledge on that, and huge opportunities. But I think really what drove my interest so much in this space was creating value for athletic trainers through data. In particular, when I worked within the military, there's tons of research out there about the time loss in military due to injury, and it's typically orthopedic injury. And so there's also huge internal data for companies as well on what injuries they're tracking, what and where they're particularly focused, and then also what we can do to drive those injury rates down, but also what we can do to reduce the time away from work that employees may be experiencing, or limited duty time that they may be experiencing. So really focusing on that health informatics as was a huge resource that definitely set me on a really quick path to succeeding, I think, within this space. Was focusing on that data, because industry loves data.
Fantastic. I'm glad Susan mentioned the OSHA website, because I was going to wonder if that was going to come up as a resource or not. Can't say I've frequented it, but I'm sure there's something there. Last couple questions. As an industrial AT, how do you take care of yourself? Sam, we'll start with you.
That has been definitely point of growth over the last few years, coming from a burnt out college athletics experience. Really, it's about, I think we have different cups. It's people talk about filling their cups, right? But you got to fill different cups. like maybe I need to spend time with my family. I'll spend time with my family, or maybe I need space alone for self-reflection and growth. I spent a lot of time during COVID times, but really, I mean, I also have learned and become great at saying no to things. For example, I'm a contractor and I'm contracted to 40 hours a week. I hold myself to that 40-hour a week time limit very strictly because I know that I'm giving all that I can at work in those 40 hours a week. They're getting that maximum 40 hours a week, and they're getting all of it from me, no matter what I'm doing. In other spaces where you maybe can't give that all the time because you're there 70 hours a week, or however many hours a week you may be there. But I know an industry that I've been able to step away and do the things that fill whatever cup I need filled to be able to do what I need to do at work and be successful at it.
Susan?
How do I take care of myself? I mean, on the side, obviously, I do things I'm passionate about, travel, and I travel more if I can, and then a little more. So that's a big thing. At work, I build really good relationships. I think that's something we miss out on a lot. Because there's so many athletes, right? When you get into the industrial section, you can have like 600, 800 people that you're dealing with. But I build a lot of relationships on the top end too, whether that's a plant manager, a construction superintendent, a foreman, maintenance. Okay, I build an immediate relationship with maintenance, and then I make them build me whatever I want. And that's how I take care of myself. It can be an ankle stretch board, it can be a set of stairs to do some job specific stuff, it can be fixing things in my office, it can be getting me another monitor. So I become best friends with the people who make my job easier and the people who feed me, and then work isn't so bad.
There you go. Chris?
That's good. Really, I think the key is something that Sam said, is learning to say no. Most of us coming into the industrial setting, we have this idea of a work-life balance that we're able to establish better than other settings. But still beyond that, I think sometimes athletic trainers have kind of this Christ complex, like I'm here to save you all. So if it's outside of work hours, sure, I'll answer my phone and I'll help you out. If it is on the weekend and I'm on vacation, sure, I'll answer my phone and help out. I think what's helped me, and I'm still working on, is getting that point where I say, no, this is my personal time. I'm going to give everything I have during my work time. You're going to get 100%. And then my personal time is 100% mine. I think that's the best way to do it. No matter what setting you're in, you have to establish that. And I think athletic trainers are just starting to do that as a profession. We're just uniquely in a position that we're able to do that more in the industrial setting.
Can understand that one completely. Last question, and we're going to have the Twitter version or the condensed version of this answer, which is really putting you on the spot. What does being an industrial athletic trainer mean to you?
Oh, come on.
Chris, we'll start with you.
140 characters. Whew.
I mean, if you go over the 280, I think we'll also
280, whatever.
Nobody's directly counting.
It is applying my skills and knowledge as an athletic trainer for your everyday Joe. End. Hashtag IATS VNS 2023.
With a mic drop emoji. Susan.
It is being on the cutting edge of the labor movement. Mic drop. Hashtag VNS 2023. Hashtag IATS.
And Sam.
Little personal experience here, but more of the providing care beyond athletes, but to somebody's mom and dad.
I like it. Looking at the Q&A again, if you have questions out there, please submit them. First one, how do people get more involved if there's options of potentially, being on the board, running for the board? You guys had referenced committees and everything, kind of getting up and going. What's the best way if people are interested in doing that?
Sure. So we definitely had our leadership interest survey. That's probably in your email somewhere. We had a good number of people from that, just because that went out to anyone registered, because we recognize you guys as the early adopters that you are, or the interested party that you are. So we kind of sent that out to the people who are truly early adopters. There was a leadership interest survey that went out. If you didn't find that, I mean, you can reach out to us, the organization. Like Joel said, you can email us at info@industrialats.com, and then we'll get back to you. Yes, the option is still available, and the option will be available for as long as the organization exists, whether we're paid membership, non-membership, open, closed. The option for interest in leadership is what this exists for. And I see an organization where every single person is going to be some form of leader if they wish to. Like Sam said, it's going to be self-limiting. So that option will always be available to you guys. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to us and we'll find out what your passion is and where that can benefit other industrial athletic trainers. Yes.
Anybody else have questions out there? Apparently they've answered most of them today. So before you have to hear me come up with another one, I just want to make sure I gave the floor one more shot to everybody listening.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't get like the third degree. I thought we were putting ourselves in the hot seat. No, everyone loves us.
Well, with that then, just to kind of wrap things up, if people wanted to connect with you all, follow you all, best places to do it, we've kind of referenced some things, whatever you would like to plug, both for the society and then anything for yourselves as well.
Website, www.industrialats.com. Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. It's all out there. It's how most of you even know who we are to begin with. So definitely, if you want to know what we're up to, that's probably where you'll find it. And again, the email that we shared, we get a lot of random emails that we never expect. So it's actually really fun seeing what we get emails for or what people tag us or message to us. So that's a great place to reach out to us.
And if anybody wanted to connect with you all personally, anything that you would want to throw out there?
Yep, Twitter, IMASTAH. I think a lot of people will know what my Twitter is, or just search Susan Taw, I think is still my name. So you can definitely find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. If you have not looked inside of the forum on the event server, guys, there's a whole LinkedIn thread there where people posted their LinkedIn. So get on there, add people on LinkedIn, endorse people for skills you know they have. LinkedIn is super powerful in the industrial setting. So definitely take the time to do that before you hop off today or later today. Chris, Sam?
Hit us on the socials.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll plug my socials. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at samg_ATC. I'm fairly active on Twitter, and I try to hit up as many people as I can on Twitter because I love connecting with everybody. So feel free to hit me up on there too.
And one more question before I give a shameless plug and we wrap everything up. Do you guys have a job board currently to promote jobs that are opening? Is that plans for the future?
I think we've talked about having some kind of career center, but I don't know that we've come to any actual firm conclusion about that. We'd like to be a destination where people can find and really narrow it down to industrial athletic training jobs, but that's not here yet.
Mm-hmm.
Any recommendations from you all of where people could look for those if it's not centralized yet?
Yeah, I was going to say industrial AT jobs are pretty easy to find. So if you are in the industrial ATs across America Facebook group, employers post there when they have new contracts or new positions all the time. LinkedIn, if you follow some of these companies, they're usually going to post when they're looking for someone. And if not, Indeed or some of the other job searching sites, just look up specifically industrial or look for those more work occupational health positions that are looking for an athletic trainer. And if you got any questions, email us. We've helped. We will help.
We've got connections with several different companies outside of even the ones that we work for. So if you reach out to us, usually we know when there's an opening in at least one of the major companies that we're connected with.
Awesome. Well, just to kind of wrap everything up, again, this will all be on the Athletic Training Chat podcast platforms, wherever you listen to your podcast, so you can check that out later. If anybody is interested in being on and wants to talk about their story, share their experience in an industrial setting, please feel free to reach out to me. Would love to chat with you. The episodes are purely to share your story and what you're passionate about, and then to grill you with those athletic training questions at the end. That we have. So in the chat, I dropped the code for this session, that ATCFD06, to use that to make sure you're getting all your credits to try and win that dead bug bag, which they are looking pretty fantastic. But again, if anything else comes up, please connect with the board through info@industrialats.com. We truly appreciate you all taking the time to be a part of it all day and be a part of this. I'll turn it over to the board one more time before we turn you out to your weekend. It's almost 50 here in Minnesota, so we're going to get outside and enjoy it because it's just shy of summer, is what we consider, before we have fourth winter. So anything else from the board before we wrap everything up?
Yeah, a massive thank you to Joel for hosting us and being able to rock this panel with us today. We really appreciate that. Huge shout out to Andy from Go4 for hopping on and talking about insurance and other things that people learned about today. Thank you to Dr. Nikki Harris and Mike Martinez for their speaker sessions that they led this morning bright and early. I mean, a huge thank you to everyone. Whether you attended, whether you spoke, however you contributed, we just want to thank all of you for being here and making this happen. We couldn't have done it without any of you. So thank you all for your time.
What she said.
Sam, anything else before I think I hold the power to hit the hang up button?
I'll hand it out to you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Look forward to connecting with everyone in the future. Appreciate you all taking the time. Again, questions, get in touch with them. Interested in being on the podcast, I'd love to meet you, and look forward to connecting with everybody in the future. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Athletic Training Chat. Just by doing so and making it through a few of these ads, you're helping contribute to our Throw a Lifeline program. We're well over halfway to our next one as of April 6, 2023. If you want to do more than just listening and supporting, which we truly appreciate, please head on over to clinicallypressed.org to find more ways to donate directly to that cause. And we want to thank again Mueller Sports Medicine for helping out by providing the kit for all of these materials to go into to get to ATs that for whatever reason just can't get their hands on the necessary equipment to provide the best care to their patients. Again, thank you for listening. We look forward to chatting with everybody in the future, and we'll see you for the next episode.